How are things different for you now in DC? You said earlier you were spending 3 weeks there, 1 week here. How are things different?
It's been a little bit of a whirlwind. There's nothing quite like taking your oath of office in the middle of a government shutdown. Because while that day was exciting, I mean, it certainly was. It was the most diverse freshman class ever to be elected to the Congress, the most women now serving in Congress, 131. But the whole time, you know that the second the crowds left the chamber, we had work to do, right? There were thousands of people who were out of work or worse, working without pay. And so the first 27 days were spent trying to reopen the government.
For your very first week, you just came into all of the craziness, it seems like.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of the larger issues on a more national level. I know that we've heard you speak about the threats to immigrant children at our border, and it's been a very heated topic.
Yeah.
So we'd like to hear, what is your stance on the issue, and what are the leaders doing to solve large issues such as this?
Migration patterns have changed so much, right? There used to be a time in our history when it would be single Mexican males who were coming or breaching our border. That's not the case right now. There are countries in South America that are completely unstable, they're completely violent. People who are leaving those countries, they're fleeing violence, they're running for their lives, they're coming with their small children. And we are right now, America is not welcoming those families. And I think that is culturally something that, we have to address. It's not who we are.
A lot of people listen to it and watch the news and say, well, kind of out of sight, out of mind, it's not really happening here. But how does a large issue like that affect small communities such as Marlboro?
Well, I don't think that there's any question, whether you grew up in Lowell, Lawrence, Marlboro, there is a real contribution that immigrants have made. My grandparents came from Portugal and Brazil. My grandfather was a union carpenter, and my grandmother worked in the mills. And everyone has a story like that. And I think those are important. We have to remind folks that that is the fabric of our country. That is what makes our country great. And we can never lose sight of that. But I think the larger picture is we need to have a discussion around immigration reform.
So what changes would you like to see in the 3rd Congressional District while you're in office?
We're going to partner with the local officials, certainly with the state delegation that I'm proud to serve with, to move the needle and make sure that Marlboro is always on an upward trajectory. There's very real issues that are facing communities like Marlboro. Some of them are transit issues, affordable housing issues, senior housing issues. People want to live and retire in the communities. They raise their families. Certainly, no community is not feeling the opioid epidemic, and we need to make sure that we're federally funding more beds, more treatment. So I think that there's a lot that we can do on the local level. I will never forget who I'm there in Washington representing, and so I want to stay very tethered to the people that I represent, and that's why I get my butt home right after our last vote, so I can, tour the district and meet with folks.